This is the second part of speech lecture, and this video will talk about adjectives and verbs. So adjectives, I'm sure you learned in school that adjectives, what they do is they describe a noun, right? So they describe a noun. So for example, if I say the word dog, right, what kind of dog is it? It might be a small dog, small yappy dog. So small and yappy are both adjectives and they describe a dog, right? So that's what adjectives are. They describe a noun. So rule number one about adjective. Number one, adjectives are in front of a noun. So here's my noun, right? It's the dog is my noun. Is it a thing or is it a person? A noun. I don't know. Do dogs considered person, place, or thing? If you're a dog lover, right, you don't say it, right? You say he or she. But it's still a noun. We'll just argue about is it a thing or is it a person? But we're talking about adjectives, and here are the two adjectives that describe this specific dog, and it is small and yappy, and notice it goes in front of a noun, right? So that's rule number one for English language. Adjectives come in front of a noun. Now, it might not be the case for other languages. So for example, let's say you went to El Pollo Loco, right? And you love getting their black beans, right? So if you order black beans in English, you would say, I want black beans, right? But if you order it in Spanish, it changes, right? The beans, and then you say black, right? So if you ordered it in Spanish, you would say beans, and then you would say black in Spanish. And people say that over 60% of the languages around the world follows the Spanish format, where you say the noun first, and then you say the adjective. That's why some people, whose English is their second language, right? They might say something like, oh, I saw a dog small, right? I want beans black. Because in their language, it's the opposite. But in English, rule number one says adjectives are in front of a noun. Okay. Rule number two, adjectives are after a be verb. So again, rule number two says adjectives are after a be verb. Now, if you take a look back at your be verb, remember you had the be verb, he be funny, they be tall, I be pretty, right? But in English today, not Old English, we say he is funny. So here's my be verb. Here's my be verb. And the word after it is my adjective. So he, if you want to do parts of speech properly, he would be your pronoun, is your be verb, and funny is your adjective, right? They is your pronoun, are is your be verb, tall is your adjective. I is your pronoun, am is your be verb, and pretty is your adjective. Okay? So anytime you see a be verb here in the middle, the word after it, okay, could be an adjective. So those are the two rules. Now, adjectives can be pretty tricky, okay? Because sometimes what you think are adjectives or nouns are not nouns, it's adjectives. Or sometimes when you think of verbs, okay, it's not always a verb, it's an adjective. Okay, so for example, I have the word truck, right? Truck is a thing, so I would say that's a noun. Okay, I have another word, driver. Okay, driver is a person, right? So it's a noun. So I have two nouns, truck and a driver. But if I want to put them together and say he is a truck driver, right? He is a truck driver. Now, if I put those two nouns together, this truck noun is no longer a noun. It turns into an adjective because you're describing the driver. Okay, what kind of driver is it? Okay, is he a taxi driver? Is he a limo driver? Is he a bus driver? Okay, no, he's a truck driver. So the word truck turns into an adjective. So I like to say it looks like a noun, but it's acting like an adjective. Okay, let's do another one. Okay, so chocolate, right? It's a noun, right, because it's a thing. Okay, the word chip. It's a noun, right, because it's a thing. Cookies. It's a noun because it's a thing. Okay? But if I want to add all of those nouns together, right, I like chocolate chip cookies. That's my favorite cookies, right? I love chocolate chip cookies. Okay? If you put those three nouns together, these nouns are no longer nouns. They're adjectives because they're describing the cookies. So chocolate is an adjective, chip is an adjective, and cookies is your noun. So again, remember, adjectives can be tricky. What you think are nouns, okay, are not always nouns. It can turn into an adjective. What you think looks like a verb, like the word running, right? You say, oh, running is a verb, which you will learn next. Okay. And the word man, right? It's a noun, okay? But if you put those together, right? I saw a running man, right? I saw a running man and he went that way. Okay? So if you say, I saw a running man, running is no longer a verb. It turns into an adjective because you're describing the man, right? It wasn't an old man. It wasn't an ugly man. It wasn't a tall man. It was a running man. So running turns into an adjective. Okay, last thing, let's talk about a verb. Okay, now I'm sure you've learned that verbs are action, right? Like running, okay, jump, okay, walk, talk, etc. Okay? But verbs can also be non-action verbs. Okay, remember, verbs can be non-action verbs, right? So for example, the word like, right? I like chocolate chip cookies. Okay, are you doing anything? You know, are you running up and down? No, but it's still a verb. So remember that verbs are not always action. There are some non-action verbs. Okay, like, want, love. Okay, I love chocolate chip cookies, right? Cookie Monster, that's what he would say. Okay, so the word love is a non-action verb. So remember, then in elementary school, you learned that verbs are always action. It's actually not. It could also be non-action. Okay. Verb phrase. Okay, this is really important. In English language, we have what's called a verb phrase, okay? And I will sometimes just write VP for verb phrase, okay? What is a verb phrase? Okay, well, let me give you an example, okay? So, the dog is walking on the street. So let's do parts of speech because we just, we're learning about parts of speech. Okay, so when you see the word the, automatically it's an article, right? Dog is your noun, okay? The is another article that we see, and street is another noun that we see, okay? So is walking right here, this is called your verb phrase. So this is your verb phrase because we have more than one verb. Is a verb and walking is a verb. Okay. So in English language, we love to have verb phrases. Okay, so we will have more than one verb. Okay, but we will always have what's called a main verb. Main verb. Okay, we will have what's called a main verb. And main verb kind of shows you like an action, right? It tells you like what the more specific verb of the two. So is walking, which one, kind of shows you the action of the verb or is more important. That's why it's called main verb, MV. It's M for more important. Okay. So walking is your main verb and is a helping verb or auxiliary verb. Okay, you might have learned it as a helping verb, or you might have learned it as an auxiliary verb. Okay, so those are the two things. But the two verbs together is walking is your verb phrase. Okay, there can be 2, 3, if not 4 verb phrases. So the dog has been walking, right, for a long time. So has been walking, that would be your verb phrase. Okay, again, walking would be your main verb. Okay, and has been are your two helping verbs. So again, you can have more than one verb, right? You can have 2 or 3 or 4, okay? But this together, all together, is called your verb phrase, VP, okay? And walking is your main verb, and has and been is your helping verb or your auxiliary verb. So there you have it. You learned about your adjectives and your verbs. Okay, the next video we'll talk about the rest of them: preposition, adverb, infinitive, conjunction, and interjection.